This is your Barbados Today evening news update for Thursday, July 12. Thanks for joining us. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. A caution to Barbadians to cut out poor eating habits to safeguard their health. Gov't Senator Dr. Crystal Haynes told an international conference on non-communicable diseases at UN House, Barbadians may have to put aside the local favorites, macaroni pie and sauce, in an effort to control spiraling incidents of non-communicable diseases. According to Haynes, government recognized the burden that NCDs placed on households, the society and the economy, and she stressed that major behavioral change is needed to stem the tide of NCDs.
So we need to do a bit of introspection and consider our perceptions of what normal and healthy look like. We, at least here in Barbados, must also examine our dietary norms. Traditions including sauce on a Saturday, our love of macaroni pie. Secondly, we consider genetic factors. If one parent is obese, there is a 50% chance that their children will also be obese. However, when both parents are obese, their children have an 80% risk of also being obese. Thirdly, we consider biological factors. There are select cases where hormonal factors or disease states may predispose a child to obesity, but this accounts for fewer than 1% of cases.
The conference is being held under the patronage of Miss World Barbados, Ashley Lashley, in association with the American University of Barbados. Dr. Haynes also urged parents to take greater responsibility for their children's health in light of the growing rate of childhood obesity.
As a nation, as a region, as a global community, we must pause and ask ourselves why, if we love our children, are we setting them up for failure? The rise of obesity among children threatens the health of an entire generation. Not only does obesity impact the immediate well-being of affected children, but overweight and obese children are likely to stay obese into childhood and are also more likely to develop non-communicable diseases like diabetes and cardiovascular disease at a younger age. Unfortunately, affected children are also predisposed to premature death and disability in adult life.
The world's academic community must play a key role in not only generating discussion, but taking action in the debate surrounding reparations for the transatlantic slave trade. One of the main drivers of this discussion, Vice Chancellor of the University of the West Indies, Professor Sir Hilary, made this point as he spoke on the topic, Reparations, the Greatest Democracy Movement of the 21st Century, at a 3-day conference at the Cave campus. He stated that many of the world's most prominent universities were founded on money generated from the slave trade.
The Indian Parliament has now voted in support of reparations, in support of the CARICOM position. The African Union is now, in fact, they're sending a delegation out here in the next month or so to speak to CARICOM about African-Caribbean solidarity in relation to these issues. There are now 21 national commissions for reparations in this hemisphere. Canada, the US, all the Caribbean, down Brazil, Colombia, Venezuela. CELAC, which is the Latin American Free Trade Area, they have now resolved that reparations is a major global issue that has to be addressed in the short term.
He noted that the reparations movement has been gaining momentum internationally since some 21 countries in the Caribbean and Latin America have established reparations committees, and countries further afield have expressed an interest in discussing the topic.
Just a few months ago, we held a major conference at Harvard where all of those universities that were built physically with slave labor or were built on the endowments granted by slave owners. We all got together to reflect upon this, and there were over 21 of the major American universities participating, and most of them the Ivy League universities. And what became obvious is that the footprint and the intellectual, the pedagogy of those institutions were also deeply embedded and sustaining themselves through investing in slave labor.
The 16 finalists in the Scotiabank Junior Monarch Finals are ready to do battle on July 21. This morning at the Scotiabank Haggett Hall branch, the 7 to 12 and the 13 to 18 contestants drew numbers for their positions. First out of the gate for juniors is KCB singing Save This Country. She will be followed by Brown Star with Peace, Master Kai singing Homeless, Not Hopeless, Sarah performing Color My Barbados, Star Diamond belting out Bim Tomorrow, Joshua B, Magic Man, The Tiny Just Carry will grace the stage with Where All the Good Girls Gone, and Mighty Bit Bit will round out the competition with Please Give Bit Bit the Crown. In the 13 to 18 category, crowd favorite Kwan will be leading the show with Why I Sing. The overcomer will be trailing close behind with his performance of Bon Appetit. Princess Makeda's Tell Me Why will be the third, followed by Yahanji with Don't Cry, Dynamo Tales from the Crypt. Simar will teach about self-love with Beauty, Miracles Education, and Renan will close the tightly contested senior competition with Kneel and Pray.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
To the region now, the UN Security Council today strongly condemned recent violence in Haiti that left at least 4 people dead and expressed support for the government's efforts to quickly restore order. The French-speaking CARICOM member state was rocked this week by 2 days of looting and arson, sparked by the government's decision to raise fuel prices. President Jovenel Moïse has since suspended the hike. In a statement, council members called for the immediate cessation of all forms of violence and for those responsible for crimes to be held accountable. They urged restraint and expressed support for the government's attempt to work with all key actors to quickly restore order, ensure the security of people and property. On the international scene, British Prime Minister Theresa May has welcomed US President Donald Trump to the UK with a lavish black tie dinner, during which she made a case for a new trade deal with the US. The President and the First Lady were given a red carpet reception at Blenheim Palace in Oxfordshire. It is Mr. Trump's first visit to the UK since he won the 2016 election. However, protesters gathered outside the U.S. ambassador's residence in London, where the Trumps are staying tonight, and near Blenheim Palace. Police estimated that there were about 1,000 people demonstrating against the visit.
Donald Trump's come to Britain with a warm welcome from its government on his first visit as U.S. president.
Donald Trump has got to go!
Although not quite as warm as it could be. It'll be mostly behind closed doors and far from the capital, where protests are expected to rack the city for days. Reuters' Mike Holden in London.
The Queen and Theresa May, I mean, he's the president coming to Britain. He's the closest ally Britain has, and they will obviously treat him with the respect that the office of the President of the United States has. But on the other hand, he won't be given perhaps some of the pomp and pageantry that other leaders who come to Britain for state visits get. So unlike with a state visit, he won't ride down the Mall in a golden coach with the Queen. However, he will have a guard of honour at Windsor Castle. He'll have tea with the Queen.
Trump's relationship with the Prime Minister isn't as close as it was for past British-American leaders. They've sparred publicly on multiple occasions. The most high-profile dispute right now is over his steep import tariffs on UK steel. British-made cars are also threatened with similar levies. He disagrees with her handling of Brexit, and at a recent NATO summit, he lobbied for members like the UK to effectively double their military spending. It's something Theresa May's government will almost certainly not do.
They like me a lot.
Katie Gregory's outside the ambassador's residence, where the president will spend his only night in the city before moving elsewhere in the UK.
And that's news, but for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, and like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media in bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. And you can hear us on Mix 96.9 FM. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. Good evening.